Today, we've got an Airstream Flying Cloud trailer latched on behind our Ram 1500 long-term test vehicle. My family and I are going to go up into the mountains, do some camping, and beat the heat. Just put this here. When we get to camp, we'll organize it. We're about to head out, but first we've got to, of course, hook up the trailer. And the Ram 1500 has this backup camera with a lot of different angles. It's going to make it real easy to hook this thing up. And get closer here, I'll hit the zoom. Getting there, getting there. I'm going to call that good. You want the tongue weight to stabilize the vehicle. But you don't really want the tongue weight, you want what it represents. What it represents is the center of gravity is a certain distance ahead of the rear tires. The tongue weight pushes down on the back of the truck and you don't want that. So these load equalization bars are basically like wheelbarrow handles that kind of pick up some of that weight and distribute it onto the front of the truck and onto the trailer. So you still have the stabilizing effect of the center of gravity being ahead of the tires, but you don't have the weight pushing down on the truck too much. You cross the chains underneath the trailer tongue, so if anything fails, it's like a cradle. It's a good habit for all trailers. Got safety chains, we've got the breakaway switch, and we've got the light connection. Now we should just check and make sure all the lights work and we're ready to go. This 2019 Ram 1500 has a lot of features that are really useful for towing. When you plug in the trailer harness, it automatically turns off the rear parking sensors, so you don't have to manually do that. There's built-in trailer brake controller right here. It's a must-have option if you're planning to tow, I think. It's got these pincers here and plus-minus buttons, and the pincers are really just there to set your trailer brake gain level, and that's what the plus and minus are for. And you know, the truck doesn't know how big or heavy your trailer is, but you do. So the idea is drive on a straight level road about 30 or 40 miles an hour, pinch that, you'll feel the trailer brakes come on. You don't want them to lock up and you don't want them to do nothing. You want it somewhere in the middle. Use the plus and minus arrows to set the gain, and then when you set the push on the brakes, you'll see a readout here which shows me that I have the gain set to 5 right now. This is showing me how much voltage is going to the trailer brakes as I press the pedal. It's a great feature to have. There's another thing here, which is this power outlet up near the top. It's not necessarily a towing feature, but for me it is, because this screen here, if I turn on the lights, it powers the camera on the trailer, and it will give me an image of the camera that's mounted on the back of the trailer. Since I need this here suction cup to the window, I don't want my cord hanging down into the center console, so this plug up here is great for anything that needs power that you might want to attach to the windshield, like this screen. All in all, you know, it's pretty easy going. You just have to point it down the road and go where you're going. Pick a good campsite. Hopefully we did that. Well, we're finally on the road. Just got onto the freeway and we'll be doing this for a couple hundred miles before we get close to the campsite. The truck feels different with a trailer back there. The rear bounces around a little bit differently. Not bad, but you can tell there's some weight behind. The engine's not straining at all. But this trailer has about 850 pounds of tongue weight. Here's an idea for all you truck designers out there. This rear view mirror, right now, it's totally useless because all I see is a trailer. This feature down here that knew that I plugged in my trailer and then blanked out the rear parking sensors, we could have this whole mirror turn into an image of what's on the trailer camera instead of me having to install this thing. That would be nice. Right now, the instantaneous fuel economy readout is saying 8 miles per gallon. Good thing I have the 33-gallon tank. That's an option, but consider it mandatory if you're going to tow anything like this Airstream. I just wish I would have bought the optional trailer towing mirrors that flip up. I mean, I can see around this thing, but the optional trailer towing mirrors that Ram offers are particularly good. This isn't a steep hill, and so
and it's not that big a trailer for this truck.
Not, yeah, this truck can tow 11,500 pounds. I think it's 11,240 for this particular one, and this trailer weighs around 6,500 maybe. I have to put it on a scale to find out for sure, but I got the 392 axle ratio, which is what it takes to boost the tow rating from around 8,200 pounds to 11,200 pounds. So it's a big jump, 3,000 pounds for 50 bucks. Really got to ask yourself, do I really want to tow that much? And that axle ratio will have consequences if you really don't need to. You might hurt your fuel economy. In traffic like this, it's really nice to have this blind spot monitoring system that covers the length of the trailer. After I've made a couple of turns, the system learns how long the trailer is, and this says 30 feet, which is about right. This is about 26 feet. And I don't know if the hitch is part of that when they say that. A little extra doesn't hurt. Anyone who's ever driven out of the LA basin knows that the place is ringed by mountains, and so you've got to drive over a mountain pass if you want to get out of town. We've got one ahead of us called the Grapevine. It taxes a vehicle that's towing a trailer, and certainly a lot of the semis are going up in the slow lane, 20 miles an hour, where there are four ways on. I think we're going to have no problem over this grade because this Hemi V8 is pretty strong, and this trailer is nowhere near the upper limit of the tow rating. But of course, it's not just a trailer's weight that can tax a tow vehicle. The amount of tongue weight it has will load the suspension, and this, like most camping trailers, has about 15% tongue weight. You know, most of the max tow ratings are assuming you're going to have 10% tongue weight. So that is actually going to reach the tongue weight limit before you reach the trailer weight limit in the case of a travel trailer like this. But tongue weight and trailer weight are not the only restrictions. There's also the frontal area of the trailer. I mean, a big box creates a lot of aerodynamic drag. You know, if you're towing a boat or a flatbed with a car on it, that doesn't present as much of an aerodynamic drag as a box on wheels like this. The Airstream is nice and rounded on the corners, which is one reason why it's so iconic and why it has its name. We've come to the steep part of the grade, and we're just getting swept up by all these trucks who had a running start who didn't get off where we got off. Just past Lake Castaic, for those of you who are keeping score at home. Nice thing about having an 8-speed transmission is there's enough gears to choose from. I don't have to make the choice, the software's doing it, so that it doesn't dither back and forth between any two gears. And we're at the top. That was a piece of cake. Now on the way down, we gotta keep from going too fast. Well, in tow haul mode, if I use the brakes to take off a mile an hour or two, it says, oh, you want to go that speed? And then it keeps me at that speed. And it's pretty nice. I don't have to keep riding the brakes. It's almost like using the brake pedal engages some sort of downhill cruise control. Not exactly, but it kind of feels like that. This truck's got a round shift knob, just a rotary knob. There's really no way to pick a particular gear with this, but there are buttons here on the steering wheel, and it's made for downgrades like this. I can basically trim off gears, so instead of it being an 8-speed, it's a 7-speed or a 6-speed, and whatever it takes to get my speed under control downhill. There's a bunch of Teslas, no Model 3s. So we're off the freeway. We're not going any faster than we were before, but it is kind of nice to be away from the truck traffic. And we're climbing and climbing on this little 2-lane grade. We're getting close to the campground, but we're nearly there. Oh, that sounds good. We're here. Yay? Come on.
Yay!
Now we got to pick a spot. Got a little wheel spin there. I can get closer to the fire ring. Well, that trip was easy. It took a little longer than it might have if I wasn't towing, because California makes you tow at 55 miles an hour and stay in the right 2 lanes. And that gets you mixed in with the trucks. And the towing features that this truck has really helped out. I mean, it's got a trailer brake controller, that worked great. 33-gallon gas tank, that gave us enough fuel to get here without a stop. And we're here, the camp's set up. I can't wait to kick back and enjoy it.